I wrote that song. Did you know that? Wow. Another day, another dollar. All right. Unironically, that panel last night made me feel like I was on a combination of ketamine, acid, PCB, heroin, and Vyvanse, listening to Erudite try and explain what her position was. I think that the issue is that people think, no. If people see somebody engaging less with a side and they want them to engage more with a side, then I think that that's always a bad thing. But then it comes down to measuring like, well, what is good engagement? What is bad engagement? The reality is it's a very difficult conversation, and there's like a lot of different positions that you can take that are difficult to evaluate using objective metrics. So like how edgy is too edgy for a joke? There are limits there. Or how edgy, or like what kind of access is good access, right? There are, like if somebody brought me on a show, let's say Ben Shapiro said, hey, do you want to come on and have a 2-hour show where we talk about how we feel about like trans athletes? I probably wouldn't accept that. Or if I did accept it, I would be changing the topic the whole time because I'm not going to show up just to be there to shit on trans people with you, you know? One thing I wish I would have brought up, and I saw this in a comment later. I wish I would have brought this up, but most of these people stopped talking to me before I made any edgy firefighter joke. Jordan Peterson went out and said, because I'm remembering now, sometimes I forget where my feelings come from. And then I look back and I try to figure out like, okay, what was I thinking? What was going on? And I don't spot like the original event. And then I start to fill in. I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was probably irritated at this or whatever. And then somebody will email me or remind me like, no, dude, don't you remember this? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Jordan Peterson said that he never wanted to talk to me. He didn't say he never wanted to talk to me, but he said he wasn't interested in talking to me because he said I was only interested in being right. And that was before any firefighter jokes, you know. And then Candace Owens ducked out on all conversation after I questioned, called out, said she lied about her college stuff, her college background. And both of these people were before anything having to do with the firefighter guy. So I feel like you can point to like, oh no, it was because of the edgy jokes. Like, I'm pretty sure these are people who would look for any excuse, you know, and they, you know, this is one they landed on. But your thoughts on the Tally Girl? Is she reachable? I think that's the type of person that I probably could have reached like a year or two ago. I don't know if psychologically I'm in the mind state to want to right now. I think I would rather just have like people on our side, because I think there's something to be said for, this is also something that's very hard to quantify, even though people know it to be intuitively true. And I hate leaning into this so much because it really does feel like, it feels not good. But like the Nazis being able to rally around the Jews, regardless if you think the Jews were at fault for everything, I mean, they weren't. Or regardless if you think anti-Semitism is good or not, which apparently is debatable now, it's powerful to have like a common enemy and to be able to dehumanize them and shit on them. And it's incredibly politically powerful. It gives you something to rally around. It gives you like a common enemy, shared goal, shared political vision. It just does so much to unify and then orient you through the political space. And it can't be a world where only one side can take advantage of that power. That can't be the world. That can't be the world. It's not winnable. When you have one side who will never, ever, ever, and I've asked this question over and over again. I might have even asked Tom this. I don't remember. I asked it a few times on the panel last night and I get no response. What's an example of the right ever trying to build a bridge with the left, or ever trying to come together with the left, or ever trying to hear out? It's like, this never happens, bro. These guys don't give a fuck about this. And if you're constantly the one doing it on your side, and then they're never doing it, and then you're not getting any political credit for it, well, where is the virtue in that? What's the point, you know? They use the aesthetics of being a bridge builder. Conservatives? I don't even know if they do that. I don't think that's even a sexy aesthetic. I don't even think they brag about that. I don't think conservatives say that at all. Do they? Do conservatives say, oh no, we bridge build? No, I think conservatives just say, these guys are all crazy communists. Have you seen Superman? No. How do you feel about the strategy of someone like Daryl Davis? I think it's good. It seems like it's been effective for him, yeah. I'll reiterate this because it apparently needs repeating. I don't I don't think that it's wrong to try to reach out to people on the other side. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think everybody can do different things. I think there are different slots for different people. I just think that I feel like in general right now on the left we need less of that, like, let's reach out to everybody, and more of the, like, can we, like, feel the Democratic Party, this is a complaint that I've heard over and over again. The Democratic Party doesn't stand for anything strong right now. And when half your party seems to be getting lost in this, like, concession world of, like, okay, well, what do we have to do to appeal to Republicans? Like, I think this is also, I think there's a subtle leftist mindfuck that comes into this conversation as well, where when people on the left are trying to figure out how to rebuild the party, like, okay, well, we have to appeal to moderates. And then leftists have kind of poisoned the discourse into thinking moderates are like light MAGA or conservatives. Like, no. There's this whole, like, the coastal liberal elite. We need to appeal to those people again. Not the people who want, like, trans 4-year-olds, but the people who really want, like, rights to gay marriage, or at least, like, healthcare for trans people. You don't have to appeal to the people who, you can't use foreign policy examples anymore because conservatives are isolationists. But, like, you don't have to go, like, extreme. Just look for your cosmopolitan elites, like that class of people again, and, stand on business with those people. I just don't think, aside from Gavin Newsom, who's doing a really good job, I think right now, yeah. What do you think about Pam Bondi saying that Alcatraz is for middle-class violent people? Wait, really? Even in basic strategies, you can turn out voters with, there is coalition building and in-group rallying. We need to rally the in-group. Yeah, I don't know where this idea comes from. Oh, yeah, the DNC Twitter has been good. This idea comes from that we have to turn conservative voters. But again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's fine if you want to do that. I just don't think that needs to be everything. Yeah, what this guy said. I don't know if I got this point across or not. The same way that there are opportunity costs, I wanted to use that phrase yesterday, but I didn't get to. The same way that there are opportunity costs in economics, there are opportunity costs in politics. The more we spend on trying to redeem the other side, we lose energizing our base. Yes, like, you have to be able to give credit to your people sometimes. And I think there is a little bit of, like, chiding or punishing or degrading the other side as a result of that. Like, if you voted for somebody and you truly think that they have the better, more moral policies than the other side, you can't constantly be drawing a moral equivalence between us and them, right? Like, oh, well, some of them are lost and we need to appeal to all of them and welcome all of them back. And we just need to constantly bridge build and constantly do this. And, like, you guys don't be condescending. You guys can't be condescending, right? Everybody hates condescension. And it's like, Trump is the most condescending motherfucker. All of the conservatives are so condescending. People love condescension. They just don't like it when it's against them. This is like when people ask me, like, how do you think you come off to people? And it's like, if you agree with me, I'm like the funniest person. I'm hilarious. It's awesome watching me own people, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, when you disagree with me, like, I'm obnoxious, meth head, motor mouth, like, gish galloping, fucking non-empathetic. Like, it just depends on what side of the argument you're on, This didn't come up last night, but I feel like part of the appeal of Trump's rhetoric wasn't just rudeness. It was the unapologetic aspect. No regrets. I know I'm right. It looks strong. I agree with that too, 100%. Yeah. That one guy, Soy Pilled, kept saying authenticity, and I think he was proxying for that. I don't think people care. Sometimes people make a mistake where they think that they care about things like authenticity or they care about honesty, but that's not always true, right? Like, if somebody's like, oh, like, how do you feel about black people? It's like, I hate them. I hate all black people. And I wish we killed all of them. And it's like, oh my God. That guy's so honest, so authentic, right? Well, nowadays, maybe people, who knows, on the environment we live in. But, like, most people would be like, well, I respect him for being honest. Like, no, they respect you for being honest and authentic when they agree with you and when it's the thing that they agree on. And I think that when people are talking about authenticity, what they're really talking about is, does this person stand on business? Does this person, like, really, truly, feel strongly about the things they're saying without caveating or couching it or trying to appeal to the other side or whatever, You're super mindfucked. Trump's popularity is rapidly declining, and most people are not into the abrasive rhetoric, despite what the Twitter magatards say. I mean, if you had some way of quantifying that, I'd be really interested in seeing it. But I think I said that a lot in 2020 when Trump lost. I think you could probably find bots of me saying that. I feel like people are just kind of over the insanity of the Republican Party. I don't think people appreciate this anymore. And I feel like I felt like back then, maybe that was one of the reasons why Trump lost. And then from 2020 to 2022, when he was kind of like not politically relevant, I was like, yeah, I think people are kind of over it and want to just go back to normal. But then in 2024, he came out swinging again, and it seems like people really, really, really like that shit. And now this is like the NBA example I gave, like, is it possible that maybe being tall doesn't actually make you good at basketball, and it's either a coincidence or it's actually hurting these guys? And maybe if you had people that were a little shorter, maybe they'd be even better. And I mean, like, maybe that's true, but it's hard when Trump is like, this is the most divisive, aggressive, on the offense rhetoric I've ever seen in my life in a political party. Is it possible that that's a coincidence and it's not actually helping, or it might even be detrimental? Maybe, but that's my Bayesian prior assumptions. My prior wouldn't be to assume that that's the case. My prior assumption would be it probably is actually really helpful, and I would need something to point me in the direction that it's not helping, You need to turn moderates, and that starts with being less weird with progressive shit. I don't disagree, but just moderate does not mean, everybody for some reason has it in their brain that moderate is coded as center right. And that's not true. Moderate doesn't have to be center right. There are so many center lefts. We saw it with that No Kings rally. That the center, that there was, what was that? That was like the second or third largest protest in all of U.S. history. It was good. If I recall, Trump's approval has been falling even on his strongest issues. I think yeah, it has been. His approval is not good, and he entered this admin lower than his approval the first time. But I don't think this is because his rhetoric is divisive. I just think it's because he's just been failing everywhere so much. He's just so bad at politics. He's so bad at politics. But like, one thing that I stress for you guys on like a stats level, something that's very hard for people to intuitively understand, is that let's say that there is let's say that the economy looks like this, and then we do some policy X, okay? If you look at this and you go, this was a bad decision, people have a really hard time looking at it because they'll think, well, the letter or the number still went up. How is this a bad decision? We still went up. And I was like, well, if we would have done nothing, right, it would have looked like this. Or we could have done like a good thing, and maybe it would have looked like this, But people will see, as long as chart goes up, they think it's okay. Fuck. What was I? There was a reason I brought this up. Oh fuck! I had an example in mind and I just forgot it. Rip. Pretend I just made a really good point, though. Approval and disapproval. What about Trump's policies? Trump just is fucking his policies and shit up. He sucks at politics. Oh, I remember I brought this up. Sorry. It kind of plays into it, but like, when people look at whether or not Trump is doing good politically or bad politically, okay. We're going to be like a little bit... this is for the boys, I guess. Wait, fuck. Do I want to use this as an example? I feel like this is sexist. Fuck it, I don't care. Okay, let's say that I were to tell you, hey, there, you know, I know a guy, and like he pulled like this chick. Would you say that like that's impressive, or would you say that that's not impressive? Okay. Oh my God. Look at you guys in chat. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, the answer is it would depend on the guy, right? And I'm not trying to shit on anybody, okay? And this guy laughs at himself a lot and everything, so I'm not trying to be weird or dumb or anything. But like, let's say that I were to point out that like, oh, like this is my friend who pulled this girl, right?
If you're happy and you know it, clap your legs. If you're happy and you know it, clap your legs.
Like you would be like, okay, like he did really good. Good for him, you know? Good for him. Good for that guy. A+. Yesterday somebody asked me if yesterday somebody said something like, oh, well, like, it's, you know, Trump didn't have like a blowout election or whatever, right? And I said, depending on who I'm arguing with, I would actually answer that question differently. If conservatives are arguing with me and they're like, Trump won a blowout election, I would say, Trump did not win a blowout fucking election, okay? Like, this is just not true. The election was still relatively close, like all of them are. There's some of the closest margins in all of U.S. history, right? They won the 7 swing states, but it wasn't a blowout election. But if I was talking to people on the left, I would say that Trump absolutely, insanely won a blowout election. But it's not because of the numbers of what he got, and it's not because of the number of states that he won. It's because if somebody can behave like Trump has behaved, I would hope that in the United States of America, this disapproval would be like 95%. Like if you were to run a candidate like that, I would say, unless this country it has like a Reagan tier landslide, something is like seriously fundamentally broken, which I think it is right now, you know? So like people are like, oh, but look, the tides are changing or the winds are changing or whatever. And it's like, I guess kind of, but like US attacks Iran, right? The whole bombing other countries, this is supposed to be a huge, huge, huge point. No new wars, no new wars. Biden's causing whatever. And it's like, well, look, the wind's changed. And it's like, that's not a wind. That's like the gentlest of breezes. Yeah. What was the approval rating of Biden after his debate performance? Could somebody bring that up? I'm curious what that looked like. Or is there like a timeline on... How come nobody talks about how Biden ended the Syrian civil war? Because the reality is, and it's hard to understand this, but like things like war and genocide and conflict and whatever, they don't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. These words don't have hard definitions, so people can assume whatever they want them to mean, depending on the argument they have, right? Like people will say no new wars under Trump. And it's like, well, what do we mean when we say war? Like, what does that mean? Like, because he bombed Syria, did that count as a war? I mean, maybe not. We bombed Iran. Does that count as a war? It seems like people right now are saying that did count as a war, but not a U.S. war. That was an Israeli war for 12 days. These words don't really mean anything, you know? Like, we were involved in more wars or less wars. Like, we were involved in way more wars, arguably, under Trump than I think we were under Biden. If for no other reason, because we left Afghanistan under Biden and the Yemen drone strike stuff, I'm pretty sure completely stopped. And I don't think we had any like huge presence in Syria anymore either. But like nobody talks about that. Nobody cares about that. And it's like, okay, somehow because the Ukraine-Russia stuff and because the Israel-Gaza stuff has more press and it's a larger conflict, people are like, oh, well, these are bigger. So these are real wars. Like, well, isn't it? It's not like arbitrary, like weird shit, you know? Feels like things are fundamentally broken and getting worse. Well, there's no real solution brought up, except I hope people get smarter or I hope media gets smarter. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there is... I'm trying to think if... Didn't you say the bombing was good, though? What does that have to do with anything that I just said? I'm trying to think if in the past, if conservatives ever adopted the veneer of educated person. I don't know how big of a problem this is right now. I'm not sure. Like, I wonder how much it hurts the left that the right has all these different groups that you can buy into, and you always feel like you have a place, even if it's just like an aesthetic, right? Like the right has their whole institution of like counterculture scientists and PhDs, and it's like super fucking weird. I saw that Sabine made a video. I didn't watch it. I think I played like half of this and I wasn't listening. Maybe it's not that bad. Apparently she made a video defending Eric Weinstein. I think I got to hear, and she started complaining about like the string theory people again. And I just don't know how. Actually, I do know. I know a thing, but it'll never happen. This should be what I orient myself towards this year.
Read Eric's paper. Here it is. I actually have it here, right here. And it's worse than you would think. You know, it's not serious. It's a dog ate my homework kind of thing. If you have a dark matter thing, if you have a dark matter prediction, if you have a dark energy prediction, I want to see a plot in the paper. I want to see redshift versus distance. I want to see a calculation of a relic abundance so I can figure out how much dark matter is supposed to be. If you do that, people will pay attention to the theory. It's very possible.
Keep in mind, this paper was written like 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Sean, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, if you're going to go by the standards of the no, Sean, how dare you cast shade and aspersions of the kind that I wouldn't seek to cast on you, but I will now. Okay. I'm not seeking your favor, nor do I need to seek your approval. As you know, you failed to gain tenure.
I think one has to give credits to Sean that he agreed to do this because the vast majority of physicists, Sean knows that. Everyone in the damn field knows that. Predictions for condensed matter, this or that, which they say that they want. They all think it's fine to hate on Eric because they expect their colleagues to cheer on them for doing so. And those who think that maybe Eric's idea isn't so bad, keep their mouth shut. Like with this recent episode about Perimeter Institute. In his Morgan appearance, Eric said vaguely he's been visiting some physics institute and giving a talk. Someone leaked later that this was Perimeter Institute and spread a rumor that they didn't want to be associated with him and that they made a deal that Eric would donate money in return. This is all bullshit. And if they'd stopped and thought for a second, they'd have known it's bullshit.
It's okay to have freedom of speech and lots of speakers and lots of ideas. That's fine. But we have to have a way to be able to say, hey, that idea was really bad. None of these people ever seem to give a mechanism for that, right? If it is the case that Eric, I don't even want to say published because I don't believe it's published. If he uploaded a PDF, 20 years ago, and he doesn't even have a Lagrangian now. We all have everybody's got a Lagrangian. What a loser. Lagrangian. Hermione. What an idiot, right? But if this guy truly uploaded this PDF online, 20, 30 years ago, well, what else has he done with it? Has anybody expanded on it? Nobody's been interested to take up work on it. Nobody has wanted to do anything or investigate more or build on it. He hasn't done any more work on it. Did he just stop learning or working at stuff or what? Like what's going, like, why is it that these people on the, I don't want to say she's on the right. That's not fair. But like these people in this like counter, like IDW space, why do they never have a way to say, oh, that is a bad idea and we should move on from that? Like, have they ever, do they even have like a mechanism by which they know how to do that?
It just isn't how seminar invitations work. Also, let me tell you that when I give talks, I frequently do not mention publicly where I'm going for reasons. I also know that Eric's been giving a bunch of physics lectures in the past years about which you find nothing online, presumably also for reasons. The story from Perimeter Institute is, to my understanding, that the person who invited him feared for their career. This tells you how sick this entire community is, that people are afraid to do as much as express interest in a new theory. Then there's Brian Keating, who deserves credit for not chickening out and for standing with Eric, even though that made people crap on Brian too. Then there's Kurt Jaimungo, who courageously published a very long video about Eric's theory and also interviewed Eric, which led to this following exchange.
I haven't seen such novel ideas from a single person, ever. And I don't know if anyone else will tell you this, but what you've done is remarkable, man.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how to deal with that, to be honest. Look, thank you.
And again, I saw people jump on Kurt and criticizing him just for talking to Eric. But, Kurt is right. It's remarkable. Eric's idea is as remarkable as the ideas of thousands of other people, each of whom has spent years and years of their life on it and whom you've never heard anything about. In any case, I think what's really happening here is that a lot of people who work in the foundations of physics are very afraid that Eric is exposing how rotten their entire field is. This is why they're trying hard to discredit him. But the truth is that Eric's idea isn't any better or worse than all the other crap they're working on. The only difference is that he hasn't wasted as much of your tax money on it. That's it for today. No, there's no sponsor on this video because I don't want to be accused of monetizing a friendship, but please check out my Patreon. Thanks for watching.
Like I don't know. The one thing that would be super illuminating, but it would never, nobody would agree to the format because it's very like gamer or streamer coded or whatever, is I guess almost like the Peter thing, like, is if I could get one of these people to agree, right now I would want to do the lab leak stuff, obviously, but like it could be Gen 6 stuff, it could be vaccine stuff. Like, could I get one of these people, hey, how about like we both go to a podcast, we'll both bring our laptops, and let's spend like 4 hours sitting here and let's like write down our points and look it up and really hash it out so that we don't just kind of like cover each other's arguments using kind of vague, I don't want to get into the weeds. Like, no, let's look up all the stuff and see what we're asserting and claiming and keep track of the claims. I think, and the funny thing is that if this was like 30 years ago or 20 years ago, I would be dreaming of, you know, like, oh my God, wouldn't it be crazy if there was this like long form format where people could go on and do 3-hour shows uploaded to the internet, no pressure for commercials, no pressure from major media networks, right? I would be dreaming of the podcast format, but the podcast format is here and it's largely just used to like jerk off for 3 hours, like nothing happens. Thing is that Eric would absolutely fail that. He doesn't have any weeds to give. Source, I knew him personally and talked to him over the COVID on his Discord. Oh, you mean the, oh yeah, Eric Weinstein. Yeah, for Eric, I think that was true. It felt like it. I'm using like, I'm like kind of heuristically guessing this, but just based on the way he was responding to Sean Carroll, it felt that way. Anytime somebody starts like rattling off a bunch of like terms and shit to try to sound technical, and it's like, you know that like Sean Carroll's like a published fucking crazy physicist. Like, you're not gonna confuse him. Maybe you can like mislead the audience, but you know, if you can't answer questions that he's giving you very basically, and you got to get like very personal in your attacks or return, it makes it feel like you don't have a very strong argument. This is the feeling I get. The IB, the LB, the something, I don't know on YouTube, try to say that. The something of smugness many of them have, makes one assume they have PhD level backgrounds, but it's always just I analyze the world and it becomes obvious what's going on. Well, the issue is that some of these people do have like decently impressive backgrounds. Like, I'm pretty sure Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein are both PhDs, aren't they?
Very interesting, which is how Eric. Very interesting, which.
What? Robots can now pick apples. It's time to automate America's farms. Automation, not amnesty. Does he think that like this technology was just invented? Basically, Eric has developed his theory to a specific limit and hides behind anger when anyone actually tries to dig into any of the details, saying he's already given enough detail. My career in physics is over, but I can intro you to a guy who definitely could talk to you about it if you wanted. I'm good. I don't have the physics background to even engage seriously with the topic. It just feels like it feels like he's like developed a theory to the point where now there has to be like some very hard and difficult work done to either explain some theoretical particles that we haven't found or get into like some very complicated maths to reconcile some things. And like that would be real work that would actually be like the crazy novel stuff that it seems like he's not capable of doing. But again, this is all like kind of guesswork for me. I don't know, like actual guesswork, not like when I say like, oh, SARS-CoV-2, I don't know much about it. Like I know a little bit about this, but for physics, it's actual guesswork. I have no idea. I also, and again, I don't know if we need like a second language for like academic terms or something. I think Sabine said it a lot in that video, not what we listened to now. I listened to it a little bit off stream before I started, but when people say like, oh, Eric has like a really good idea. When people say things like a good idea, like that means different things to different, in different contexts, you know? Like a good idea, like if I have a good idea to make it so that if people if people didn't want to wait in a hospital for 5 hours and do kidney dialysis, I think that people should donate so much blood over the course of 2 months that they have a whole extra blood bag of their own blood, and then they can just go in and swap all their blood out like a battery, okay? That would be sick, okay? That's like an idea, right? But it's like, that's just like kind of a meme idea. It's not like built on anything. And then sometimes you'll get somebody who's done like an extensive amount of work and investigation, and they got a big hypothesis and a ton of like theoretical backing to it. Like, here's a good idea, you know? It's not like people will use like the colloquial form of like, oh, this is a really good idea. And it's like, okay, well, hold on. When you say good idea, like, is this like, have you put work into this? Like, have you actually tried to verify or validate any of the underlying, tenets of this? Like, is there something you can actually build upon here for other people? I don't know. Maybe it is the case that he's just met an incredible amount of pushback in the field, but it's very sus to me when 20 years ago you uploaded this paper and you've done nothing more with it and you haven't worked on it at all. And then, yeah, like that one guy said, there's that Tim Wen guy who apparently did an actual like formal response to it. And Eric won't talk to that guy. Why not? It seems like that's like the guy most people, I think that, what's his face? I think Sean Carroll even asked him to, why don't you talk to that Tim Wen guy? And I think he gave some lame excuse, didn't he? Or am I making this up?
How do you explain the fact that you had the Trump administration go from the big influencer phase one Epstein files coming out, we're reviewing Pam Bondi's, I'm reviewing thousands of hours of footage, to two-page memo, nothing to see here, we're moving on, case closed, to Trump now saying, well, there are files that were created by Obama and Hillary and Comey and Brennan, and it's all a hoax, and that everyone needs to move on and there's nothing to see here. So how do you explain his specifically changing narrative of what's going on here? And, the fact that obviously it seems bizarre, the way he's handling this in the worst possible way just for him politically, let alone anything else.
Well, I mean, I think people in the right-wing media universe are charlatans, and they exploit their charlatanism to politically expediently cater to this longstanding belief
that's...
that's...
talking about Trump specifically.
No, I got it, but it leads into Trump. Meaning there's like a pervasive, ever-present belief within right-wing media circles whom Trump harnesses for political power, that there's a pedophilic sex trafficking ring that's perpetually waiting to be uncovered. That's why they were so into QAnon, Pizzagate, and that kind of transferred over in part to Epstein. Well, but it explains it in that, like, why did Pam Bondi, in that now notorious February 2025 interview...
Why did she say she had so much more information? Why did she say part one? Like what? And this is an attorney general. Like, who would ever do this? This would be the equivalent of like fucking like suing somebody with no evidence, then hoping maybe that something. Oh.
Interview with Fox News, say she had the Epstein files waiting on her desk because there was an incentive within this milieu to dangle the most appetizing little snippets in front of the audience. Like the beating heart of right-wing social media and like comment sections always believes that the triumphant anti-deep state warriors in the Trump administration are finally going to unveil the true heart of evil at the core of elite networks and expose the pedophiles. Casper tells us, put on your big boy pants and tell us who the pedophiles are. And so Bondi was kind of playing into that assumption. And
Sabine calling Eric's theory unpromising and a waste of time 5 years ago. Oh, wait, really? Hold on.
And she used like imprecise language. Are these people charlatans? You're not getting an argument from me. Yeah. I was trying to make this argument like last year when they were pumping out this stuff for their own electoral advantage. Now, I will say, is there a possibility that there are some additional materials somewhere that could be embarrassing to Trump? Of course, we know that he was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein's for like 15 years. Jeffrey Epstein's on tape that was released by Michael Wolff saying, I'm Donald Trump's closest friend, or I was his closest friend. Now, could that be puffery by Epstein, who loved to exaggerate his influence?
Trump also said he knew him for 15 years. So
yeah, exactly. So I mean, there could be something that is embarrassing on Trump somewhere in the archives here. That wouldn't be surprising at all. Michael Wolff claims that Epstein displayed to him like pictures or Polaroid photos of Trump like sitting around with like topless young women or something. There was no claim that those women in the photos were minors, but like Trump was also in these modeling circles. That's how he met Melania, right? And Epstein also,
Michael, I just got to point out, man, this is the same hearsay that you're indicting the intelligence quote. You're like, oh, Michael Wolff. But by the way, Michael Wolff is a fucking serial fabulous. Are we going to sit here and not say that? He literally made shit up in his book in Fury. Why is it that the secondhand account here from Michael Wolff?
No, I'm not saying
it's worth it. No, but it is. Now you're talking, oh, he's got photos of topless women.
That's not. It's not hearsay. It's not hearsay for Michael Wolff to say I was shown this photo. Like he could testify in court to that. He couldn't testify in court that he was told by somebody that somebody else told him
Michael Wolff
that they spoke to.
God, what I felt like I had the most insufferable debate with Tracy 4 years ago. But good job on accurately calling out what hearsay is and what it isn't. Nice.
Alex Acosta 2 years prior to that. So it's a different level of hearsay. I'm not saying it's dispositive.
It's reported, yeah, fine.
But Michael Wolff has shown that he has recordings of Epstein.
Yeah,
he has hours of tape.
Vicky Ward has multiple quotes on the record from Epstein. Why is she a worse report? By the way, Vicky Ward is 10 times
I'm not claiming that Trump is a sexual predator. I'm arguing against that assumption now that has overtaken these popular assumptions.
All right.
So I mean, I'm not trying to argue that Trump is a sexual predator.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm saying you're willing to take hearsay and reporting from other people when it's convenient.
Here's the Occam's razor that I tend to use with Trump. Obviously, he'll just launder whatever bullshit he can to get through a current controversy, and the way that he's handled this issue is really amazing. I mean, now he's like voluntarily bringing it up when he calls into these right-wing like Real America's Voice shows and saying Epstein hoax. He's disowning his supporters over it. So obviously, I don't know, like, does he have the presence of mind to know how to negotiate this story in a way that is befitting him? Maybe not. I mean, he's 78 years old now, so that could be an explanation. It is interesting to me that never once do you hear Trump express sympathy for the quote-unquote victims. Like a traditional politician would say, we sympathize with the victims. They've been through trauma. We're not going to re-traumatize them. This horrible person, Epstein, was a pedophile and a disgrace and whatever. Like, Trump doesn't even make any perfunctory gestures along those lines. He just goes nuclear now on his own supporters. So is he handling this artfully? No, but like, I think there are some more simple explanations than, oh, that means he's covering up the child rape ring that people accused Democrats of covering up, and now Trump is following suit. I just don't find that.
Like, it's these guys have shown their ass so much. God, dude, I can't. I can't. Where they're like the statements that they made on the wildfires and shit that were going on during California. I'm just trying to think of anything possible that if Biden would have made fun of anybody in any of these states from here to the north of me over the hurricane shit, the Carolinas or Georgia, if he would have made fun of anybody dying there or being underprepared or not having the proper stuff, even Bush, all of the stuff about the New Orleans, like with the levees, reinforced enough or calling people down. Bush, I don't remember Bush ever engaging in that. Now, there were some more edgy talk show hosts that did, more mainstreamish talk show hosts that did, Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage. I don't know if any politicians did. I'm pretty sure Bush didn't, but it's just like Trump is just so. Is debased a word you can use here? He's on demon time, okay? It's just insane. Do you have any theories on why politics is so disgusting right now? I do think to some extent it has to do with that thing I talked about how if one side is allowed to carry on and the other side isn't, I think stuff gets really weird. Like, if something horrible happens to your child and somebody makes fun of you for that, you should feel really bad. You would. I think people would feel really bad. And everybody should look at that person and say that that's like really bad. You shouldn't make fun of, something like that happening. But if one side is allowed to do it and then the other side isn't, that other side starts to feel way more comfortable than they should making those types of comments. You shouldn't feel that comfortable. And if you're a Republican, you can just say stuff with impunity and you're always protected by your side. And then, so like, why wouldn't you expect it to get really bad? Because again, you get cheap laughs, people rally behind you. It's a good, unifying thing, common enemy. So yeah, there's just no social corrective mechanism for any of that stuff. So it's not surprising to me that it would get so crazy. It's almost like it's like an echo chamber of debauchery,
To be that plausible.
All right, Michael, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay, one more thing. Like, okay, I know this got a little heated. It's genuinely nothing personal against Sagar.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm waiting for the avalanche of comments denouncing me, and that's fine.
To quote whoever it was, Dan Bongino, I think we all have our big boy pants on here, so no worries.
It's all good, brother.
All right, Michael, good to see you. Thank you.
Hey, if you like that video, hit.
I'm a bit behind, but can't you put out a similar challenge that Peter responded to for whatever subject you wanted to hash out? Surely someone would make a few bands with their expertise. I wouldn't even have done the one that Peter said. I would be so paranoid about judges. I don't know if I could ever agree to anything like that. I would be way too paranoid. Thoughts on groups pressuring payment processors to get companies to react, like Steam recently with porn games? I mean, payment processors are usually the ones who are the ones leading that, yeah. That's how it goes.
And Weinstein's
won't show any of the
attempts at the theory of everything.
Well, scientific history teaches us that their method of guessing some pretty piece of math and hoping it's useful for something is extremely unpromising. It is not impossible it works, but it is almost certainly a waste of time. And I've looked closely enough at Lisi's and Weinstein's and Wolfram's and many other people's theories of everything to be able to tell you that they have not convincingly solved any actual problem in the existing fundamental theories. And I'm not interested enough to look any closer because I don't also want to waste my time. But I don't like commenting on individual people's theories of everything. I don't like it because it strikes me as deeply unfair. These are mostly researchers working alone or in small groups. They are very dedicated to the pursuit and they work incredibly hard on it. They're mostly not paid by tax money, so it's really their private thing, and who am I to judge them? Also, many of you evidently find it entertaining to have geniuses with their theories of everything around. That's all fine with me. I get a problem if theories that, despite having turned out to be useless, grow to large tax-paid research programs that employ thousands of people, as it has happened with string theory and supersymmetry and grant unification. That creates a problem because...
I can't speak to the string theory stuff enough to know. My issue with Weinstein isn't that, and it should be her issue as well, my issue with Weinstein isn't that he has a dumb paper that doesn't work. I mean, like she says, I'm sure there are tons of people with dumb theories and dumb papers and stuff that don't work. It's that he walks around acting like he's the one who's discovered this unbelievable, foolproof theory of everything, and it's just the scientific world is just trying to censor him. And if it wasn't for all of the evil institutionalists and academics, the whole world would be behind his theory or something. I don't know. It's dumb. String theory is legit, but not much have come out of it. Hindsight is 2020. Not much? My understanding is that literally nothing has come out of string theory in terms of making a novel prediction or solving some other issue in the standard model. But again, I don't fuck all about. What do you think of the letter? Do you think it's real, the Trump one? I mean, it seems like it is. It seems like it fits. I don't know. There's nothing in it that makes me think like, oh my God, this must be fake, no? Based. Wait, what? Like, this is a retarded post. I don't know. I don't understand. And it's retarded in a way that he should understand. No, because I can't even explain this using autism. So Elon Musk says, something is fundamentally, not slightly, wrong with the dark matter theories. Dark energy is perhaps less dubious, but still not really understood. This is a meaningless statement. It doesn't mean anything. When he says fundamentally wrong, right? Like, it feels like... So this guy, I'm assuming this guy's a physicist. He says, in physics, theories are fundamentally wrong if they're mathematically inconsistent or contradict experimental evidence. Here, it means doesn't feel right to me. And nature absolutely doesn't care for personal feelings. So this is true, right? To say that, like, again, this is the contextual thing. If I were to say something is like, oh my God, this is like fundamentally wrong or whatever, right? That's my opinion on a thing. I could be hyperbolic or whatever. But if I'm assuming like in a paper, it's like, oh, fundamentally this is incorrect because you've missed some fundamental mathematical part. Like for Weinstein to come out here and be like, I disagree with Elon Musk here because I don't know how he got to such a strong conclusion. I wish he would say more. It seems unwarranted. But Martin M. Bauer is Clearly also not right here either. Examples. Einstein's first explicit equation for general relativity was mathematically wrong. It said a divergence-free 2 tensor equal to a non-divergence-free 2 tensor, but it wasn't fundamentally wrong. It needed a small fix reversing the trace component. So, like, assuming that this was wrong, then it sounds like it was wrong and they corrected it. But this guy's just proving the point of the Martin guy, right? When we say something is fundamentally wrong, when Elon Musk is saying it, he's just saying that it feels weird to me. What it seemed like Elon Musk's tweet is saying, and Elon Musk is brain broken enough that that's what I would assume. In 1920, E. Schrodinger's theory didn't agree with the experiment. Why? Because the spin wasn't properly incorporated. It wasn't fundamentally wrong. It was patched. Same theory, et cetera, et cetera. Not a big deal, but this point is just so wrong as to be unsalvageable. Very curious error to make. Martin, with whom I usually deeply disagree, is normally pretty great, but sometimes I think pretending that all outsiders talking about the current physics disaster are cranks causes insiders to say very simplistic, unnuanced, and wrong things. This feels like that, and I'm not even a physicist. It's like the insiders don't realize that the outsiders have any validity. All outsiders don't immediately become cranks by virtue of disagreeing at a profound level with the objectively failing communities from which they came. Like, if you're an outsider, you can't be right or wrong. You just can't really have a valid opinion on a thing, right? This feels so stupid you would say. Like, if you asked me to predict who would win, like, a UFC or an MMA match, and then you would ask me to explain why, even if I gave the correct prediction, and even if I gave an explanation that would become correct, that doesn't necessarily mean I was correct in the initial thing I said. I just got lucky. I don't know the fundamentals of any of this. I don't watch this sport at all. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. Okay. What do we have for news today? Kill me. What the fuck is this?
Everyone's a fucking idiot but me.
True. Holy shit, true.
Slugs making consumer choices thinking it's freedom.
Why'd you start this at 17 seconds? Hold on. We're gonna play this every morning.
Look at all these fucking slugs. Everyone's a fucking idiot but me. Slugs making consumer choices thinking it's freedom. They don't even know. I'm really fucking smart. I see what's fucking going on. I'm a genius on different levels of different types of scientific, political levels. I can't be fooled with your politics and your laws. I see through them into the real reality. Mindless slugs addicted to shit, paying money to buy poisons, eating shit I would never fucking touch.
Fucking sheep.
It's just kind of nuts. Everybody's running around. There you go. Is it every year gets crazier and crazier, right? And they're all slugs, but you and me. You're a slug. You're a slug. You're a slug walking around begging for slime, for sugar. You see how everybody here is like a slug, right? Yeah. Yeah. You see it. You understand.
I can't be held accountable with your laws.
Like your jacket.
What?
Your jacket. It's cool.
You know your slug.
What?
Thanks. I got it's a motorcycle jacket.
Oh.
Do you like motorcycles? Have you seen motorcycles?
I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ride one?
I will hope to. I hope to one day have enough money to be riding on a motorcycle.
Cool.
I hope to one day doing that.
I hope that for you too. That's very cool.
You shopping?
Yeah, I'm shopping. I like to. I also just kind of mall walk too.
Oh,
I know
okay.
not cool, but.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to you.
Okay.
Oh no. No, where's he going? He's leaving us. No. Bro hasn't logged in 2 months. He's talking to a girl. No. The squad.
Females are an electric light in the life of men. Satin red dress, perfume in the air, smiles. close touch of a female can soothe the most wild beast. Love is a bullet into the mind of loneliness.
He's become a slug, guys.
Spraying lonely blood all over the wall of regret. Sometimes when everything's feeling like it's gonna go away, an awesome date night can change everything. But of course, that's all fucking bullshit. You can't trust anyone or anything. It'll always fucking let you down in the end. I don't feel pain. I don't feel pleasure. Of course, why did I ever trust females to begin with?
True. Based.
They only want to stop you from being happy. I see what's fucking going on. They don't even know. Look at all these fucking slugs.
Jesus Christ.
Everyone's a fucking idiot but me.
Jesus. We watched the video Pipe Rock Theory. Oh shit, I remember this video. This is such a good video.
Do you know the pipe rock theory? Oh. Dude.
What else has this guy made? 103 Fever. Why does this guy only have 297,000 subs? I hate how little... We need to find a better way to make it so high effort content gets paid. Then the J6 video will come out, okay? Advice to get over a girl after getting ghosted. Shit sucks. If somebody ghosts you, I would just assume it's because they were trans and they ran out of hormones. And then you don't have to feel bad about it, because if you would have kept seeing them, it would make you gay. Come on, dog. You hit this? Wait, what the fuck was that? Jesus. Be honest. I have a 103 fever for the past 6 months. I need you to help me. Drake, you are responsible for my health. Please. Jesus.
I got a 103 fever for the past 6 months and it ain't going down. Drake, if you don't give me some medical attention, I think I'm gonna get a big ass frown. My body melting, obsessed with a Family Guy Simpsons orgy. 18 and over sexual fantasies, everybody looking so gorgy. Quagmire standing up on top of the bed, jagging off, conducting the sexual fornications. Peter suck Marge, Homer lick Lois, with Springfield Quag, sexual congregation.
Advising getting over a girl who wants to leave after I told her I'm messaging other girls on dating apps. Make passive-aggressive comments at her until she feels the need to compete. Be like, oh, good, you weren't even in my top 3 anyway. And that'll drive her to be more competitive.
Kidneys losing function, body aches, chills, and shivering. I feel like I'm gonna freeze. Drake, if you don't give me some pills and come down here and heal me, I think I'm gonna die. Drake, you need to help me, please. Please, Drake. Oh, Yes, you go!
103 fever, and I've had it for 6 months, and it's not. I can't do anything to get it to go down.
Art Simpson. Would you hit?
Yeah. And Lois.
Okay.
And Lois Griffin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got fever, 103, had it for the past 6 months. It makes dating really hard when you got 103 fever. Dude, shut the fuck up, okay?
Talk about seltzer, why is it so...
Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, okay? You keep talking, it's gonna be a bad fucking situation for you and for everybody else here who paid to see a good time, okay? Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Sit the fuck down! Sit the fuck down! Sit the fuck down! Dude, sit the fuck down!
You guys don't get this. You guys wouldn't get this, okay?
Yo, I heard you got like a 103 fever for the past 6 months. I just wanted to say, B2, Scott, Drizzy, fever. I heard you got a 103 fever for the past 6 months. Your body burning up like a weed-filled blunt. I know why your body temp is high, making you sweat like a boar. It's cause the whole world on the brink of a motherfucking war. World War III is about to kick off and it's giving guys like you a fever. To stop nuclear Armageddon, you must goon the pics of Lois from Family Guy's Beaver. You must create a new branch of the military called the Positivity Force. A billion-person army deciding to jerk off like they just got divorced. The Positivity Force is like the army, but for being nice. Instead of shooting bullets, we act sweet like Sprite.
Part of the Positivity Force, I had a fever of 103. It's like the military, but for smiles.
War is caused by people being angry online. The antidote is jerking off to make the world divine. People being mean, the atmosphere is polluted with negative vibrations. Airplane crashes are caused by this, and I love staycations. Deep in the Bible, it says jerking off is the deepest form of prayer. No.
Okay, this is a deepfake song, right? This is not a real Drake song, right? I have no idea.
The man.
Okay, someone else in chat asked. Okay, thank you.
Gooning will prevent a war in the Holy Land, but you got to
Wait,
to
yes,
keep
it's real? Is it? The beat is real? It's real. Yes, you retard. Drake 103 Fever song. Wait, comedian Connor O'Malley's song. Wait. Teenage Fever? Is it?
Bruh.
Wait, this is not a real Drake song. Wait, is this real? Wait. Hold on, I'm sorry. Drake is young though, right? Maybe he made a song called Teenage Fever when he was like 21? Oh. Hold on. Drake. Artist. Oh, musician. Born 1996. 2006. Wait, what is this song? Makes a little more sense. All right. This shit feels like teenage fever. I'm not scared of Christianity. Okay. Yeah, okay. I thought it was like fevering over teenage girls. What a song title. Okay, sorry. We're back to this.
Don't worry, these aren't stolen valor. 600 tabs on Pornhub at once. You know, tabs on a browser. Come on, go. The state of, edging. You know what that is? Yeah. Don't come. It's like you guys, instead of shooting bullets, we're shooting smiles. We're having a good time. You know what I mean? Positivity force. Whoa. Is this the actual Matrix?
Across the world, all race, creed, genders, jerking their clit, tit, or prick off the porn.
I got accepted in a university today. For a long time, I thought it was retarded. But watching you, especially when you had Candace Owens over, made me change my mind. And today I got accepted into a bachelor in cybersecurity. Thanks. Wow, good job, Fezzy.
Positive edgy vibes get trapped in the ozone. De-escalate global tensions. Masturbation, Jason Bourne.
You know who wears hats like that? Leonardo DiCaprio. What is the website? Pornhub.com. How's it going? Hey guys, we're starting the positivity force. It's like the military, but for being nice, right? I love your vibe, man. We're just spreading positive vibes, trying to kill the negative vibes. I got this for 600 tabs open on Pornhub because you want to edge, and all the positivity vibes go into the ozone, and everybody's smiling, having a good time.
As soon as everyone blasts a huge cum, the world's superpowers peacefully get back on course. World War III prevented by stroking clits and pricks, thanks to the positivity force.
The positivity force has caused me to be a more positive and a nicer guy. I'm less in my head.
И начал медитировать. זה נקרא כוח החיוביות ואני כאן בשביל זה.
积极的力量提醒我保持水分和睡眠。
हम सभी को स्क्रीन टाइम सीमित करना याद रखना होगा.
A friendly reminder that masturbation is self-care.
Okay.
On the other hand, you have obviously ISIS, which is, this terror cell that seemingly never attacks Israel and only kills Muslims. Weirdly enough.
Oh, he's so close. Oh no, he's so close. Holy shit. He's right on the he's right there. He's like, isn't it kind of weird that there's this like extremist Muslim organization and it seems like the majority of people they kill are actually other Muslims, which I thought only the United States and white people killed. He's so close.
Okay, don't know what that's about.
Wait till he finds out who the majority of the Houthis killed were, or the majority of Hezbollah killed, or the majority of every basically Arab extremist group that's ever existed is killed, or the Taliban killed, or anybody else. He's so close.
I'm not going to point any fingers here. Has the American forces actually defended ISIS at times? Yes. Has Israel defended ISIS at times in Syria? Yes, they have.
Remember, Syria is the place where you can make any argument about anybody doing anything that you ever want ever, okay? Russian jets flying to Syria could be doing 10 things simultaneously. They could be violating Turkey's airspace. They could be violating the airspace of a NATO ally, being a threat to the West. They could be attacking terrorists like ISIS. They could be bombing innocent Kurdish people who have nothing to do with anything. They could be helping Assad. They could be bombing Syria. There are so many different factions that were at play, coming and going at different points during the Syrian civil war, that you could basically say whatever the fuck you want, and you'll probably be right. You'll probably, at some point, we supported ISIS. At some point in that war, there probably was a time when we attacked somebody who was attacking the same person where our interests are aligned on things. ISIS didn't like Assad. We didn't like Assad. There are probably points where Al-Qaeda was involved, and they still are involved to some extent. I think they still have 100 square meters of a fucking row home in Sorry? What's the name of that stupid fucking capital of Yemen? Sana.
They have on the other.
It's a brain rot. It's like a brain rot. It's a brain rot country to talk about, or it attracts the brain rot because you can say anything you want about basically anybody. You're probably right at some point in time. Wait. Did ISIS attack, were there big ISIS attacks in Iran ever? I have no idea, actually. List of terrorist incidents linked to the Islamic State. It's a wild thing to say because ISIS literally did attack Israel. Did they? I don't know if... Tel Aviv shooting. The thing that you have to be careful of with some of these things, like this, like Jerusalem attack, I think that ISIS tried to claim responsibility, but I don't know if that was ever proven or if that is true. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think they normally don't claim it if they aren't involved now. Yeah, I don't know. What is this? True. The situation in Syria. Fucking true. It's actually kind of retarded with the power Trump has. He could fix so many problems in America. Actually true. Actually fucking true. That's probably one of the most disappointing parts. And you should be mad if you're a conservative as well, because you could probably do a lot of bad stuff that we wouldn't like on the conservative end, but... Is this true? I can't tell if this is a troll post or not. Woke scold moment. I wish Destiny would stop saying things like, Trump probably banged a couple of underage chicks. Bro, you mean raped? You can't bang underage kids. Bang implies consent. A child cannot consent. So whether you believe the allegations or not, if you're going to talk about them at all, at least use proper language that doesn't normalize or minimize sex crimes. I view statutory rape in my mind as different than like rape. I don't know if I would ever say or make these two things equivalent. I feel like it's a little bit weird. Like it's kind of like, I can't imagine that. So I think that for like a 17, or wait, actually it might be different for child porn. Because 17 might be, I don't know what the age of consent is in most US states. What was the age of consent on Epstein's island? If we can say that like a 17-year-old can't consent to a 22-year-old, whatever the law is, that it feels weird to say that then a 22-year-old having sex with a 17-year-old is always rape because they can't consent. But if the 17-year-old has sex with a 17-year-old, it's not rape because they can consent with sex. It just feels like you need a different word to describe what's going on there. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know. Isn't this post satire from yesterday's talk? I have no idea. I actually can't tell. I don't know. I don't think he's trolling. No. Do you think that post went scorched earth on you? Do you mean that you placed a different moral weight on them? No, I mean, I think that there is, I don't know how to explain it. Like if an 11 or 12-year-old is engaging in sexual activity, like it seems to be that they're almost certainly not capable of even understanding like what that means. Not to throw small people under the bus, but like I don't even know like a 9 or 10-year-old knows what like death means. Like I don't think they even have the concept of that really, other than things go away and don't come back. But when you start to get to whatever your puberty, post-puberty ages are, or during puberty ages, like when you're 15, 16, 17, 18, like you understand what sex is, and they have sex with each other, so they're doing something there, and clearly they're consenting to each other. And it feels weird to say, or it doesn't make sense to say like, oh, a 17-year-old can have consensual sex with like a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old or whatever can have consensual sex with a 16-year-old. But then if it was with somebody older, that's not consent, so it's rape. It's statutory rape because that's the way the law is written. And I think for good reason. I think people that are significantly older than, especially developing people, probably shouldn't be raping, not banging, but raping these people. It's not a good thing. But I think there's meaningfully, I think there's a different thing going on there. I just wanted to apologize. I shit on the COVID/vaccine debate stuff hard. Then saw you upload, the YouTube upload, and realized why it mattered. But like, man, I can't imagine a post-Trump social media world. It's going to be insane. Oh, sure, true. Can you explain to us why the end of Mr. Robot isn't really a happy ending? I didn't watch all of Mr. Robot, so. Wait, we already clicked this.
Release the Epstein.
Could you use valid consent instead? Maybe you could use informed consent. Like a 15-year-old can sign a contract, but legally they wouldn't be allowed to, if that makes sense. But like, you would never say that like, oh, he didn't sign the contract. He did. And in a way, he kind of, I guess you could say, consented to signing a contract, but they can't make informed. But we say they can't make informed consent because they don't have the developmental capacity to do so. But it's strange because they also don't sign contracts with each other. So I don't know.
Epstein files. No, wait, Epstein is actually a host. No, wait, since everyone is spending a...
In most states, they can sign a contract. They just have the option to void it upon turning 18. Kafka, maybe for special ones? I don't think you can take out like loans below the age of 18 or sign for like any credit related stuff without having a parent go sign.
Ridiculous amount of time on this. I don't know why. Just release all the grand jury testimony, even though that's not what people are asking for, and you can't do it without court permission, and the court will probably block that. Trump's "I'm not involved with Jeffrey Epstein" t-shirt has a lot of people asking questions already answered by his t-shirt. And the funny thing about that meme is that it was originally literally about human trafficking. But the long and short of it is that the MAGA movement may have finally taken a stand against the Trump administration.
The current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covered.
Fuck, I feel like a lot of these people don't understand the current political climate. Like, Tucker Carlson is a Russian simp. This guy hates the United States now. He's basically become Julian Assange 2.0. I don't like it when people are citing, Kyla made this mistake yesterday too when she cited Candace Owens. Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are not like traditional MAGA people. They'll kind of overlap when it's convenient to do so, but they're not like card-carrying MAGA. They just hate the United States and they'll jump on MAGA when it's convenient, but otherwise they are like fully in their own fucking world. Like Candace Owens, I was gonna say Candace Owens is like an odd one out in the Daily Wire, but that's not true. She's not even in the Daily Wire anymore. Yeah.
Movement may have finally taken a stand against the Trump.
Is Charlie Kirk MAGA? Yes, Charlie Kirk is solidly dick suck MAGA, 100%. Yes.
Administration.
The current DOJ under Pam Bondi is
student loans. I don't think you can get student loans under the age of 18. Can you? I don't know. Let's look it up. Actually, wait. Can you get student loans at 17 without parent? Student loans are a common way to pay for college, but what about young students who aren't 18 years old yet? Those students can access loans, but you might not qualify for every type. A 17-year-old student can qualify for federal student loans because they have no minimum age requirement. Most private lenders can require borrowers to be at least 18 without a cosigner. Okay, so for federal loans you could. I didn't get married in Nebraska when I was 19 because our age of majority was 19. How weird was that? I didn't know that these two other states... Also, I thought Nebraska was the only one with a weird age. Fuck that state.
It's covering up crimes.
But back in 2024, candidate Trump made some promises about releasing these so-called Epstein files.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. During his most recent presidential campaign, Trump said that he would have, quote, no problem looking into the Epstein client list.
The list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
The current political climate is in agreement with your opinion about Trump regarding these files. Stop missing the forest for the trees. Take the win, fuck. No, shut the fuck up. You guys are so short-sighted and fucking retarded because you guys will say stupid shit. It's such a bad way to operate through the world. It's actually so retarded. Is you see something and you're like, well, if it works right now, then I can't agree with it. No, you fucking moron. Correct the small errors now so you're not making forced huge errors later. Just get your fucking facts right. How is that a hard thing to expect from somebody? Like, yeah, these people are critical of Trump. That's good. Celebrate that. That's fine. But that doesn't mean you have to make a whole bunch of unforced errors. Why? Why get stuff wrong? This is so fucking retarded. Holy shit.
Current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes.
But back in 2024,
that's not a huge error that legal is making. I just wish that more people would be a little bit aware of where the political divides are right now. That's it. Jesus.
candidate Trump made some promises about releasing these so-called Epstein files.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
During his most recent presidential campaign, Trump said that he would have, quote, no problem looking into the Epstein client list.
The list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Then Attorney General Pam Bondi told everyone that Epstein's legendary client list was right.
That 50-minute interview was so fucking... Ugh.
There on her desk, except it wasn't. Pam Bondi released a 2-page memo saying that actually Epstein did just kill himself. There's no secret client list, and there are no more documents that are going to be released. And everyone believed her, and that was the end of the story. No, I'm just kidding. Trump supporters weren't having it at all. Even Trump's reliable buddies over at Fox News aren't buying the narrative.
Why do you say he's become the deep state? What is more deep state than covering up for pedophiles?
And Trump took to Truth Social to post a long screed proclaiming how great Bondi is and telling everyone to, quote, not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Except that a whole bunch of people care a whole lot about Epstein.
Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
And now we live in a world where Congress's resident Jewish space laser enthusiast Marjorie Taylor Greene and Silicon Valley progressive Ro Khanna might finally agree on something. And meanwhile, while all this was playing out in the media, the Trump Department of Justice finally acted on Ghislaine Maxwell's plea for the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction after months of delay. Oh, and now Donald Trump is threatening to sue, quote, the ass off of Rupert Murdoch. He's furious because the Wall Street Journal published a story last night about Trump sending Jeffrey Epstein a handwritten birthday card in 2003 where Trump hand-drew sketches of a naked woman and then made his signature mimic pubic hair, and which Trump ends the letter with, quote, happy birthday and may every day be another wonderful secret. So suffice to say, there is a lot going on here, both in the media, in the government, and in the courts, and a lot of suspicious timing with how the Trump administration is playing this, and baffling statements from Trump himself. So as the MAGA world implodes, let's take a step back and talk about how we got here, what the Epstein files actually are, and what they are not. And make no mistake about it, apart from all of the fabricated conspiracy theories, the Epstein saga does point to an actual real-life conspiracy that spits in the face of anyone who cares about equal justice and the rule of law in this country. But from the very beginning, everything that touched Jeffrey Epstein reeked of corruption. In 1996, Maria Farmer, an artist in her mid-20s, reported to the NYPD and the FBI that Epstein and his associate, British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, had violently sexually assaulted her while she was visiting his property in upstate New York. Farmer claims that she also warned the FBI that Epstein and Maxwell had committed multiple serious sex crimes against girls, including her minor sister, that Epstein stole nude and partially nude photos of 2 of her minor sisters, and that he possessed child pornography. But neither law enforcement agency followed up on Farmer.
What? Wait, what? Epstein stole nude and partially nude photos of 2 of her minor sisters. What does that mean? Why do these photos exist? Wait, what? Okay.
That Epstein stole nude and partially nude photos of 2 of her minor sisters, and that
maybe we should do a full Epstein thing next and go over his story from start to finish.
He possessed child pornography. But neither law enforcement agency followed up on Farmer's complaint. And nearly a decade later, in March of 2005, a woman reported to the Palm Beach police that her 14-year-old stepdaughter had been molested by a wealthy man.
Yeah, it could be childhood nudity. Because like if you take, like I think the actual intention of the picture matters. Like if you have like a picture of a baby in a bathtub or whatever, that doesn't count as like child porn. But if you were to upload it to like Baby Jerkers R Us or something, then they could charge you with child porn for the exact same picture. I think it depends there.
In subsequent police interviews, the girl confirmed that she'd been recruited by a female classmate, also an undergrad, who had done sexual favors for Epstein in exchange for money. That classmate apparently took the 14-year-old complainant to Epstein's house, where his staff escorted her to his bedroom. Epstein appeared in nothing but a towel and told her to undress and then massage him, and during that massage, he sexually abused her. Now, the unnamed complainant came from a rough background. The underage classmate who recruited her had recently been sexually assaulted before she met Epstein, and this would become a pattern for Epstein. He preyed on girls from poor, violent, and troubled backgrounds, sexually abused them in exchange for money, and then paid them to recruit similarly troubled girls for him to abuse. Now, when Palm Beach detective Joe Ricari began conducting witness interviews, Epstein was quickly tipped off by one of the potential witnesses. Epstein then hired his own private investigators who sought out victims and witnesses, often before they were even contacted by the police. Detective Ricari still managed to identify 17 victims, all in the 14 to 20 age range, all of which recounted a similar fact pattern of the original 14-year-old victim. Identify 17 victims, all in the 14 to 20 age range, often before they were even contacted by the police. Detective Ricari still managed to identify 17 victims, all in the 14 to 20 age range, all of which recounted a similar fact pattern of the original 14-year-old victim. Jesus. Recruitment by another girl or woman, ostensibly to give Epstein massages in exchange for money, being told to undress, and then being sexually assaulted or groped, being paid for the massage and sexual interaction, and being offered compensation to find future victims. Now, based on the overwhelming testimony, Detective Ricari provided the state's attorney's office with probable cause affidavit drafts for felony sexual offenses for Epstein and 2 of his female recruiters.
What do you want?
Can you please cover?
Cover my what? Cover what?
Do you hear me?
A little bit? Hello? Epstein got him from the grave.
His attorney Barry Kreischer, though, declined to talk to any victims or parents and decided that 17 witnesses just wasn't enough to make a case. So Kreischer offered Epstein a sweet plea deal. When Epstein rejected that, Kreischer made the highly unusual choice to take the matter to a grand jury. Typically, a state's attorney would simply charge and arrest the accused. But during the grand jury proceedings, the prosecutor, Lana Belahovlik, invited only 2 victims to testify before the grand jury. And
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, for the next 2 weeks, you should definitely cover Epstein. Like, it's such a big story right now, and you'll get...
I don't care about viewers, especially the types of viewers you find from this, and 2, like I have a feeling that it's going to be, anytime stuff like this is way less sensational than people want it to be, people just say that I'm a contrarian and nobody actually gives a fuck about any of the actual evidence anyway, and then it's just like, what the fuck is even the point, right? Like if I covered the JFK shooting shit and I came to the conclusion like, yeah, JFK almost certainly wasn't, like, there was no big conspiracy around this, and people just get ass painted and then they're like, whatever, it's just like not even worth the time. And like what?
I mean, no, his story is very interesting if you look into it. Like, regardless of like the conspiracy stuff, like you're right, like that it's not as like conspiratorial as people make it out to be, but there still is some stuff there to look into for sure. Like his background is like sus to say the least, but I mean, I think it would be interesting.
Maybe after, maybe you know what? Maybe after COVID stuff, maybe we'll do it. Okay.
I think now is the perfect time to strike, though, because like everyone is speaking about it.
Yeah,
but
no one knows anything about it. It's not like now is the perfect time to jump into a thing that like nobody knows anything about. Everybody has like the most retarded fucking ideas about like what's like why.
There's plenty of stuff out there though. Like this has been a story for many years. Like he was investigated back then, like in 2006 or whatever. Like there's so much out there to talk about. Like.
Oh, okay.
And the transcripts are all going to be released soon. But...
Oh, there you go. Well, after the transcripts are released, so we can dive into it. So I have something to go over. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
And it appears that Belahovlik actively undermined her own witnesses by peppering the girls with questions about unsavory social media posts and even accusing a 15-year-old victim of being a prostitute. And the state's attorney's office was also in close communication with Epstein's defense attorney.
Did you already do this last year? No, I just went over his like suicide and stuff related to that, but I didn't dive into his background or anything.
And in fact, it was Epstein's attorneys who provided the prosecutors with the underage girls' questionable social media posts, which the prosecutors then used to bully their own underage witnesses. And in the end, the grand jury returned only a single charge, felony solicitation of prostitution, which said nothing about the girls being underage. Now, if you're infuriated by this, you're not the only one. Detective Ricari's boss, Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder, one of the few good guys in the sordid story, was also furious enough at the state's attorney's actions that he sent a scathing letter.
The same thing could be said about Israel. Well, but Israel and history and the region and all that, that's like a rich world of information that I think is super interesting and tells us like how regions develop, how the world develops. It's just an interesting thing, even without any debates. I think learning about that was interesting. Learning the background on a single guy's life, that everybody has injected a conspiracy into every single part of this guy's existence, sounds like the most boring and annoying fucking thing in the universe to go over. Like learning all of Epstein's background will enrich my life exactly 0%. But I don't know. Maybe I will after that COVID stuff.
To Kreischer stating, quote, "After giving this much thought and consideration, I must urge you to examine the unusual course that your office's handling of this matter has taken and consider if good and sufficient reason exists to require your disqualification from the prosecution of these cases." Detective Ricari also took the extraordinary step of going to the FBI to ask them to prosecute the case since the state's attorney had done such a poor job. But the feds agreed to launch their own investigation. One can only speculate that this was because they already had a file on the guy from 1996 and probably wanted to save face, but we'll never know. But the FBI's reinvestigation turned up evidence of additional victims, including 34 confirmed minors. And the victims reported the same fact pattern of massages and sexual abuse. The feds found pictures of many of Epstein's victims in his house, as well as plenty of other corroborating evidence tying him to numerous underage victims. And
the actual harem.
Armed with this mountain of evidence, the feds sharpened their lawyers' war axes and offered Epstein a slap on the wrist plea deal that should have made national headlines as a travesty of justice, but it did not. Now, back in 2007, we didn't have the tools we have today to get a bird's eye view of how the Epstein slap on the wrist spread throughout the media and public sentiment. At best, a Google trend history reveals that the search term Jeffrey Epstein peaked at 100 searches and was mostly confined to users in New York. But when you use modern technology, you can see the massive political earthquake over Epstein. Term Jeffrey Epstein peaked at 100 searches and was mostly confined to users.
I don't think this is just 100 searches, right? Isn't this like graphing interest over time? So like if something has very, very low interest and then it gets a lot of interest, but that a lot of interest is still low compared to like all the other prior interests, it'll still be 100. I think this is just graphed on a 0 to 100 for this is the most interest it ever had.
In New York. But when you use modern technology, you can see the massive political earthquake over Epstein in real time. We can see that there have been 372 stories about Epstein in the last 3 months, with 46% of the coverage coming from right-leaning sources, 24% coming from the center, and 30% coming from the left. And if you take a closer look at specific stories like the reporting from Wired that revealed editing in the security camera video of the night that Epstein died, you see a fascinating breakdown of how attitudes across political divides are rapidly changing. This story was only covered by about 50 sources, with 40% of the coverage coming from the right. On the left, sources mostly frame the missing footage as critical minutes that point to a larger cover-up and possible conspiracy. On the right, sources largely agreed with the left that the missing footage was critical, and were even more likely to embrace the yet unverified as of this recording claims that there exists even more missing footage. And in the center, sources typically focused on the problematic nature of the missing footage, but were not as likely to point to a cover-up. Now, headlines and coverage vary greatly depending on the source, which is why I use today's sponsor, Ground News. The Nobel Peace Center called Ground News an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. They've been a long-time supporter of this channel and independent journalism at large, because Ground News gathers related articles from around the world and across the political spectrum, so you can see the bias and compare coverage. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, factuality, and ownership of the source reporting, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations.
Wow.
Now, one of my favorite parts is their bias comparison feature, which highlights specific differences in reporting across the political spectrum. And I also love their blind spot feed, which shows you stories that are unreported by either side of the political spectrum. But all this is why Ground News is my favorite way to get the news. And as a legal it, you can save 40% off the Ground News Vantage subscription by scanning the code on screen or clicking on the link down below. This subscription gives you unlimited access to every feature, including the Bias Insight tool and blind spot feed. So click now or I will see you in court. But let's get back to 2007, when Jeffrey Epstein was offered the sweetheart plea bargain deal of the century. In June of 2007, the local U.S. Attorney's Office, under the leadership of Alex Acosta, issued a 53-page indictment against Epstein. Now, negotiations for a plea deal began with Epstein's all-star legal team. Ken Starr, famous for serving as independent counsel during the impeachment of
the Clinton shit.
Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, famous for lots of stuff, and Jay Lefkowitz, a partner at Kirkland & Ellis, the same law firm where Acosta was previously a partner. And after a lot of cozy meetings with defense attorneys at hotels over breakfast, Acosta offered Epstein a remarkable deal. Epstein could plead guilty to state charges, 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of solicitation of prostitution with a minor under the age of 18. He would be sentenced to 8 months in jail following a year of house arrest and be adjudicated as a convicted sex offender who must register twice a year in Florida. And that was it. That was the penalty for sexually abusing at least 34 underage girls in a systematic, calculating way for years. And even then, Epstein only spent his evenings in Florida jail. During the day, he was permitted work release at his swanky office building. Now, Acosta's deal with Epstein included several other gifts fit for a king of Wall Street: an agreement that the victims would not be notified, a promise that the deal would be kept under seal, and an agreement to dismiss all grand jury subpoenas. And Epstein's all-star legal team also managed to secure one more extraordinary victory: a non-prosecution agreement which allowed Epstein and his co-conspirators to avoid federal sex trafficking charges. Now, we've covered this before, but this plea deal was extraordinary for several reasons. First, 18 U.S.C. 3771, the Crime Victims' Rights Act, gives victims the right to be apprised of the developments in criminal proceedings, the right to be present at public proceedings, and the right to be heard related to plea deals, sentencing, and other key developments. Now, the prosecutors not only bypassed any notification of the victims, but they actively lied to the victims, sending them a letter months after the plea deal had already been signed, urging patience while the prosecution, quote, conducts a thorough investigation. Now, bypassing this law at the request of a serial sex abuser's attorneys was an extraordinary move by Acosta's part. Now, second, Acosta's agreement with Epstein not only prevented future prosecutions of Epstein, but also future prosecutions of his 4 named co-conspirators and an open-ended category of, quote, any potential co-conspirators. Another extraordinary gift. Now, both of these aspects of the agreement are legally important, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, the Miami Herald really blew the lid off of this entire story and reported that the plea deal may have been affected by Epstein's role as a witness in the 2008 securities fraud case against Bear Stearns executives. Now, ironically, those executives were later acquitted, along with pretty much anyone else who played a direct role in blowing up our economy. Now, we don't know for sure, but it looks like prosecutors threw a couple dozen underage girls under the bus in order to get some ineffective testimony about the cheating finance execs who tanked the world economy. So Jeffrey Epstein served 13 months of nighttime imprisonment, spent his days at his swanky office, and apparently even continued to have women flown out to Palm Beach to have sex with him in exchange for money. And a few potential violations of the house arrest were documented in the state's attorney's files, but no one took action. And after his 13 months were up,
can't he find vulnerable girls like in Palm Beach? I don't understand why they have to fly in from a whole other place. It feels like that's so much more work than it needs to be.
Epstein seemed to return to his ordinary life of sexual predation. And faced with some additional law enforcement scrutiny, he purchased 2 private islands off the coast of the U.S. Virgin Islands in 2010 and 2016, respectively, where he then had even more leverage over his victims. In a later lawsuit, one of his victims revealed that in an act of desperation, she tried to swim off the island to escape him. But Epstein and his co-conspirators located her and then took her passport in an attempt to keep her captive. Another victim alleged that when she tried to escape the private island, Epstein and his co-conspirators returned her to his house and suggested physical restraint or harm if she failed to cooperate. And meanwhile, U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta went on to be appointed as Trump's Secretary of Labor.
On behalf of the President of the United States, it's my honor to welcome you all today to the office of the Vice President here at the White House complex for a very important moment in the life of this administration and in our national life, as I administer the oath of office to the 27th Secretary of Labor for the United States of America, Alexander Acosta.
Where is Epstein's island like? What is this, like part of the U.S. or part of like a territory or part of a?
And all the bad guys lived happily ever after. Until
I was usually asleep before we landed, so I don't remember where it was.
Newscraft reporters, a few more heroes in the story, started looking into this. Julie K. Brown, an investigative reporter at the Miami Herald, and Miami Herald videographer Emily Michaud began investigating Epstein in early 2017, about the same time as Acosta was being nominated as Secretary of Labor by Donald Trump in his first term. And they uncovered 80 potential victims as young as 13 and 14 years old when the abuse occurred, and conducted video and written interviews with 8 survivors, the most important heroes in the story, who bravely agreed to tell their stories. And the Miami Herald's investigation ultimately led to Acosta's resignation from his Secretary of Labor role, and finally to a real criminal indictment against Jeffrey Epstein. So on July 6, 2019, federal prosecutors in New York got a second chance to prosecute Epstein. And unlike Bill O'Reilly, you're probably smart enough to figure out that since this is 2019, this is still the Trump administration. Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, reportedly a hub of his sex trafficking network, and under 18 U.S.C. 1591, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York charged him with sex trafficking and sex trafficking conspiracy related to the abuse of dozens of minor girls at his properties in Palm Beach and New York. Now, the Southern District of New York's charges weren't double jeopardy because in Acosta's original case, Epstein only pled to state-level charges, and the 2019 indictment included only federal charges. Acosta's plea agreement with Epstein, though, would have likely become a thornier issue. But the U.S. attorneys never had to address that because on August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell. A medical examiner's report ruled it a suicide by hanging. So obviously that ended the criminal prosecution against him, but it did not stop the legal fallout. Now, Maria Farmer and several other Epstein victims alleged the involvement of Epstein's longtime companion, Ghislaine Maxwell. Victims accused Maxwell of recruiting them, manipulating and gaslighting them by normalizing Epstein's predatory behavior, and even of sexually abusing them herself. And the Department of Justice's investigation corroborated this, finding that Maxwell and Epstein identified vulnerable girls, typically from single-mother households and difficult financial circumstances. Maxwell then helped Epstein entice and recruit the girls as young as 14 to visit Epstein's Palm Beach residence to be sexually abused by him. Maxwell also encouraged victims to travel to Epstein's other properties, knowing that they would be sexually abused there, and she helped pay victims for the sex acts and for recruiting other additional girls to be similarly abused by Epstein. And on December 29, 2021, Maxwell was found guilty of conspiracy to...
Hold on, not everybody that was at Epstein's island, okay? We didn't all do bad things, okay? Just because there's a picture of me being here or not, okay, has nothing to do with anything that happened there, okay? So calm down, all right?
entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiracy to transport minors to participate in illegal sex acts, transporting a minor to participate in illegal sex acts, sex trafficking conspiracy, and sex trafficking of a minor. Now, numerous powerful men and female co-conspirators have been named in connection with Epstein's sex crimes, but Maxwell remains the only person in the United States who was ever actually convicted of sex crimes related to the Epstein abuses. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But Maxwell may still evade justice thanks to Acosta's plea agreement with Epstein. In a 2023 appeal to the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, Maxwell argued that because Acosta's immunity deal with Epstein included an unnamed list of co-conspirators, and because Acosta didn't expressly limit the agreement to the Southern District of Florida, she should be included and should be immune. The DOJ has counter-argued that, quote, the phrase United States in a plea agreement like this is just a generic reference to the U.S. Attorney's Office that enters into the agreement and is not on its own enough to establish an affirmative appearance. The DOJ also argued that Maxwell has no right to invoke the protections of the agreement because she wasn't a signatory to the agreement and hadn't sufficiently argued its protections were conferred onto her. Now, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed Maxwell's conviction, but in April 2025, Maxwell filed a petition for writ of certiorari with the Supreme Court, asking the court to find that Acosta's sweetheart deal applied to her as well. Maxwell argued that there's a circuit split as to whether a promise on behalf of the United States or the government by a United States Attorney's Office in one district is binding upon offices in other districts. Now, confronted with this challenge, the Trump DOJ did nothing for 3 months, but mere days after Trump's meltdown on Truth Social, Trump's DOJ filed a conveniently timed response to Maxwell's petition for writ of certiorari, arguing that the plea deal did not apply to her. And the DOJ contended that, quote, at the time the NPA was negotiated, DOJ policy barred U.S. attorneys from entering into non-prosecution agreements that bound other districts unless they obtained the approval of those districts or the criminal division. And it would be strange if one rogue district attorney could bind the entire U.S. government from ever filing charges against Epstein or his co-conspirators without ever consulting headquarters. But as of the recording of this video, the court hasn't decided whether it will hear Maxwell's case or not. And meanwhile, the many civil actions against Epstein's estate and associates continue. And for everyone out there hungry for names to be named, well, we have some good news. Thanks to how our justice system works, lots of names have been named in the civil cases. These are the true Epstein files, and we've gone through them, so you don't have to. One of the bravest and most vocal survivors was Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Giuffre was involved as a pseudonymous plaintiff in one of the first batch of civil lawsuits against Epstein in 2009. In 2011, she revealed her identity as a survivor of abuse by Epstein and Maxwell. And she went on to file several lawsuits, including one against England's Prince Andrew for sexual abuse when she was 16 and 17, which resulted in an undisclosed settlement. In depositions and public statements, Giuffre has claimed many times that Maxwell recruited and groomed her for sexual abuse. Maxwell vehemently denied this and publicly called Giuffre a liar, and in response, Giuffre filed a defamation lawsuit against Maxwell. The case settled in 2017, but the case generated reams of documents, including depositions, pictures, communications, and a vast trove of other evidence. These and other documentary evidence generated in other civil and criminal cases are the real Epstein files. And in early 2024, the court in Giuffre versus Maxwell ordered the unsealing of many of these documents. These documents had previously been sealed to protect the identities of many of Epstein's victims who still have not publicly identified themselves. Many of the documents contain not just names, but also identifying information about people's backgrounds, personal details that have been used to re-identify victims. And court documents are often sealed in cases involving sexual abuse, especially the sexual abuse of minors, because the documents can contain exceptionally private and troubling details, which, especially in a post-internet world, could affect the victim's safety. Indeed, in their depositions, several of Epstein's victims said that after their identities became public, they feared for their safety. But the documents in the Giuffre case were unsealed because there was an exceptionally strong public interest in the case and because Giuffre herself had argued that they should be unsealed. Maxwell's legal team argued vehemently against the unsealing of the documents, despite the fact that Maxwell had already been convicted years before. But this highlights a key tension in the case, the balance between the victim's need for privacy and the public's need to hold Epstein's co-conspirators accountable. And this tension is particularly strong in the Epstein case because many of the girls involved were not only victims themselves, but were also paid to recruit future victims. Even still, many redactions were applied to protect the identities of victims who have still never publicly identified themselves.
You still think Epstein is a lone actor? Well, no, I mean, Ghislaine was his go-to or whatever. But the question isn't whether or not people helped him. The question is whether there's a pedophile blackmail billionaire rig or whatever, right? That's the big claim.
And feared for their safety if they were named. And many prominent people were also named in the unsealed documents, but they had all been previously identified as Epstein associates. Giuffre's unsealed deposition detailed several times that Epstein directed her as a minor to have sex with prominent men, including Epstein's attorney, Alan Dershowitz, former Governor Bill Richardson, former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, CEO Les Wexner, Prince Andrew, MIT scientist Marvin Minsky, hotel company heir Thomas Pritzker, and billionaire Glenn Dubin. And all these men, except Minsky, who died in 2016 before Giuffre's allegations against him were public, had denied these charges and none have been criminally charged. And the accusation against Dershowitz was particularly contentious. He and Giuffre both sued each other for defamation, agreeing in 2022 to settle their lawsuits against each other. And immediately after the settlement, Giuffre released a public statement saying that she, quote, may have made a mistake in identifying Mr. Dershowitz, but she later clarified that she, quote, did not and would never exonerate Mr. Dershowitz. The Giuffre's case was one of the many against Epstein and his associates. And companies tied to Epstein, including JP Morgan Chase, Deutsche Bank, and Barclays, have all...
Okay, we're good.
Ott claim, who's...
Why was I linked this? Andrew Wilson debate.
A secularist. They're only appealing to themselves. What makes your Ott claim better than theirs?
Well, first of all, that's just another claim that atheists or secularists are committed to subjectivism. I want the contradiction with the atheist worldview and a non-subjectivist moral framework.
Okay. Wait, what is this in reference to? My cognitive empathy overrides anything your neurotypic pathetic excuse for empathy could ever understand. He got into another Twitter fight with people? Over what? Is there an epic Reddit thread? He spent 2 days accepting Saudi sponsorship money from the POV of a gay person. He wrote a giant-ass tweet about it. Is this trolling or? Unrelated? Okay, I can't parse league drama. I don't care. Don't
Hello
care.
again, friend.
Nope. How normal is that? You cancel a show and then you let them know that it's going to be canceled 10 months from now? Is that?
It's time to kiss it goodbye. Baseball is probably not the only thing you can say that about. Recently, us.
Oh, I got it. Epic.
Whoa.
Fuck, what's up?
Just wanted to talk to you about the Trump health thing with his leg swelling up, maybe a little bit of the Epstein stuff, and maybe a little bit of the Mamdani crap.
Sure, go for it. Hit me up.
All right, well, you know how the White House said he had venous insufficiency, like that's the explanation with his legs? I think that's BS. I think he probably has like congestive heart failure. That's a reason why you'd have that extreme swelling in the legs.
Well, apparently a lot of
Considering
things can
his
cause a lot of the swelling, right? And heart failure could be one of them. Sure, but go ahead.
Yeah, but considering his age, he's almost 80. He's been eating McDonald's every day for, I don't know how long. It's got to be since he was like at least in his like 30s. He's been obese his
we
almost
can
his
speculate
entire
probably. We have no
life.
evidence of this, right? But it's possible, yeah. But I mean, they're never going to release an honest health report, and so we have no way of like, really knowing, right?
Yeah, there's no way because it's a huge national security issue. So I think there's a good chance he's going to croak before the end of his term. And he's also lived an extremely stressful life, like the amount of times he's gone bankrupt, like the amount of bullshit he's been dealing with lately. There's no way they're going to release an honest like health report and tell you what exactly is going on. And it's also funny, like it is like, you know, a reasonable explanation, but, you know, it's supposedly this condition that is not important, not serious. Like, I don't buy it, especially considering his age.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as some of the Epstein stuff, did you see what was it? The Wall Street Journal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like, as far as the Epstein files go, like, there's probably, I mean, there's like the few lawsuits that have gone on where women have accused Trump of raping them, and it ended up getting dropped. There could be a variety of reasons for that. Maybe these girls were just getting attention or something, or thought they could get some money out of it. Who knows? But clearly, Trump is mentioned to some degree in the Epstein files.
To some degree, he must be, right? Yeah, because he's super defensive about it and everything. Yeah, I mean, don't we know he's in the flight logs at least?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So he may be mentioned in the flight logs. There may be some unflattering mentions of him hanging out with like teenage girls
And
but,
saying
like,
dumb
nothing
shit or
particularly.
even for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, so like I don't know if anything's really going to come of this, but you know, if he tries to run for a third term, it might hurt him. You know, might affect midterms.
Okay.
But as far as Mamdani goes, you seem to have a very I don't know how to phrase it, like cucked view on him. I think the guy should just get fucking deported.
Well, is he a legal U.S. citizen?
No, the guy's a communist.
Okay,
So under the
but I don't-
Communist Control Act.
Is that still active?
Yeah. Yeah, it's illegal to be a communist in the U.S.
There's no shot that's true. Are you sure you don't mean like it's illegal to immigrate here if you're a communist or something?
I'm pretty goddamn sure the Communist Control Act was never like repealed or anything. It's still a thing they can do. But like the guy's a literal fucking communist, and he's clearly also a whack job Islamic jihadist. And one of the worst liars I've ever fucking seen. Like Mehdi Hassan is a fucking insane lunatic too. Like the guy clearly looks up to Osama bin Laden, but he's like, yeah, he just avoids pretty much any and all mention of it in public. And he tries to hide it, but he gets caught, you know, on a few occasions. And if you look at some of his old, like just some old videos of him that have surfaced, like he's clearly a wacko Islamist. I don't know if you can find any videos like that of Mamdani. He's only been living in the United States for like, what, 7 years or something?
Sure. I mean, he's not my ideal candidate for sure, but like I would support him over Eric Adams easy. If Cuomo runs, I mean,
Really?
if Cuomo wins, yeah, 100%. Eric Adams is literally compromised by Trump. So I would support.
Yeah, but is that worse than
Yes.
literally an Islamic jihadist communist?
As opposed to a Christian theo-fascist that's controlling the country right now with a bunch of other Christian fascists? Yes. I think that Eric Adams would be worse, yeah.
I don't know how you could figure that. Like what? Like let's say worst case scenario, Eric Adams or Cuomo. Like how could that be worse than a guy who wants to defund the fucking police?
I'd be fine with Cuomo. My guess is if I were to look up Cuomo's views, Cuomo's probably like a middle of the road Dem. I'd probably align more on policy than Cuomo than.
Well, yeah,
than
like,
Mamdani.
I think Cuomo would be way better. But okay, let's say like Eric Adams worst case scenario versus Mamdani. Like I know Mamdani can't do some of the stupid shit he's claiming, like raise taxes. He's clearly just saying things because he wants to get elected. He could have influence on the police force and basically do a reverse Rudy Giuliani. So, yeah, and as far as like the, socially funded grocery store thing, I have no idea if he could actually implement that. Assuming he could, that sounds like just a ridiculously stupid fucking idea. Everyone's going to steal from those stores, and if they undercut every other like grocery store, that would just harm like actual real businesses.
Yeah, sure. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I still would take any of that. If he tries it and he manages to do some of it, then you collect the data on it and then you just point to it as more failures and say, oh, this is why the socialist shit doesn't work. I'd still take that over an actual Trump puppet as mayor again for Eric Adams. So.
Yeah, but okay. Tell me what like the worst case scenario could be with Eric Adams.
I don't even know if I could imagine the worst case scenarios because the Trump administration has been so insane. It could be turning over political rivals for prosecution to the Department of Justice. It could be unprecedented cooperation with immigrations and customs enforcement in order to deport people who otherwise they wouldn't have access to data to deport.
I would, I'd expect that.
Sure. Yeah, all of these things I think are way worse than the stupid government grocery store idea that is tried and fails.
Okay, so you're basically saying the crazy weirdo wacko deportations would be worse than say harming small business and just increasing crime.
I don't think the small business harm would be that much. Like I said, I don't even know if that grocery store thing would even get very far.
Yeah, sure.
Number one.
So like increasing crime.
I mean, that wouldn't be good, but I think people are fairly sensitive to that, and I think they'd reject that, especially where we're at right now today. Like they did in San Francisco a while ago. Everybody points out that I don't know if people would tolerate that as much in New York. I think they'd be really critical of that.
Okay, well, I can see your perspective. I don't think Eric Adams really has any realistic prospect of getting reelected. I think they should just deport Mamdani. The guy's clearly just cancerous, horrible scum. And it also sickens me that New Yorkers would even have the idea of electing a Muslim immigrant that's only been in the country for 7 years, who's a fucking communist, to run, you know, one of the fucking biggest cities in the country.
Well, that's who the primary process delivered, so that's who...
Yeah, it's fucked. Yeah, that's why democracy doesn't work anymore. People are too stupid.
Are you a monarchy guy?
No, I'm a eugenics guy.
Jesus.
Yeah, just, don't let the dum-dums breed. And then, we won't have these issues.
Well, that's a take. Why do you say, are you sure? It says he moved to New York City when he was 7. Wouldn't that mean he's been here for like 26 years instead of 7 years?
Yeah, so wasn't he like, no, he was like, he traveled back to his home country or something, and then he's only been in the country for 7 years since then.
I mean, I see that he went to grade school, high school in New York City, and then it looks like in Maine he went to college. I don't know if he went back to maybe after college, but I feel like it's a lot of lived in the United States experience. And then in October of 2019, he ran for New York's 36th state assembly, so came in a 2015
well, anyway,
special. No, I feel like he's been here for like 25 years, but okay.
Okay, well, either way, Muslim communist, get the fuck out of here, deport this shithead. Okay. But you're actually against eugenics?
I mean, nobody's against eugenics. It just depends on what it means when we say eugenics, right?
Yeah, so just preventing dumb, inferior people from breeding.
Well, those are two very, very, very loaded words when you say dumb and inferior.
So yeah, let me clarify. Dumb, so let's say 1 standard deviation below the mean, in terms of IQ. And,
are we saying that this is assuming like a world where we can predict like the IQ of a child that's going to be born, and then, or do you have the parents, like what level of specificity are we assuming we have here to detect stuff? Well, actually, it doesn't matter. Let's say that we could. You're saying that you would try to make it so anybody who
one parent, yeah, so one parent who has an IQ 1 standard deviation below the mean. So if one parent's Einstein, but the other parent has IQ 1 standard deviation below the mean, so JF girlfriend, that sort of thing. Or I don't know like what specifically, but let's just say there's like a heritable genetic disease that's really, really fucked up and bad. Like maybe there could be a short list. But we already technically practice eugenics in this sort of way.
You should be careful. That's why I said like nobody's technically against eugenics, like wholly. Like if somebody was like, oh, should we screen people who have like a gene that is 100% determinative of like Down syndrome, and then maybe those people decide, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't have children. Like I think most people are like, oh, that's probably fine, or eliminating certain things like that. Now, compelling people like that not to have kids is a stronger question, but then picking other traits to target that aren't just strictly like diseases, but things like low IQ, I think gets into a much weirder area. Although right now we don't have to deal with that because we don't have like the specificity to know for sure, like I guess the IQ of a child. But I mean, even if you could, I think there's political questions, there's moral questions, and then there's practical questions in terms of like how much would you even enforce a thing like that?
Well, again, more specifically, so let's say somebody is of, I'll outline like ideal society. You're not allowed to have kids legally until you, say, apply for a permit to have children. In order to apply for that permit, you have to go through some sort of, like, intelligence and mental health screening. If you happen to have an IQ that's 1 standard deviation below the mean, you cannot have kids. So that means you cannot have kids with anyone else, even if they pass that sort of test.
I'm hearing you, but there are like so many other considerations that like I can't. It's hard to even seriously engage with the question.
I know it's politically charged and.
I'm not even saying politically charged and sensitive. I'm just saying that like right now, if we're having a, there'd be practicality questions of like, so do you sterilize everybody from birth and then you just like unsterilize them when they pass the test? What's the punishment look like for having a kid out of like eugenics luck? What's the punishment of a kid who was born who shouldn't have been born? Do we kill them? Like practically, would we? Like what like we already don't have enough like replacement children right now. What if our birth rate dropped to 20% of what it is right now? Are we okay with that? Like there are so many other questions down the road to consider, and then we haven't even gotten to the point where we can actually identify these children yet. So I just haven't thought about it at all, and this would be like a whole
So if you
last thing.
So if you were to have a child outside of, this permit scenario, child could be either aborted if you're able to detect the pregnancy ahead of time, like early on. If the kid, if you end up having birth by that time, you could just sterilize the kid. So.
Okay. Well, that's a take. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's just the problem is, most people would be against it because dum-dums want to have kids and breed like monkeys and just be broke their entire fucking life.
Well, for some people, having kids and all that is a fun part of life. So, what are you going to do?
I highly doubt that. Most pregnancies are unplanned, so I don't think a majority of people are thinking that sort of way. They might think later in life they might eventually want to have kids, and it's fine to think that. But considering most pregnancies are unplanned, I don't think anybody would have an objection to that sort of law on that basis.
Okay.
I think people are just my freedom, I want to be a dum-dum and have kids when I'm drunk at a party and have everything unplanned and then fuck my whole life up and be broke.
Based? Okay. Okay, well, I got it. I got your argument.
All right, well, deport Mom Donnie.
All right, have fun, be careful.
Just elect Cuomo, deport Mom Donnie, make it happen, all right?
Be careful.
All right, take care.
I may